Layoffs surged in January, millennials living in vans to save, and Elon Musk living in a modest home. Hi, it's Edward, back with another video. Please take a moment to click the thumbs up button below and consider subscribing to the channel. Please also share this video with your friends. Thank you for your support. Today, I read several financial news articles. I've included links to the articles in the description below. I encourage you to read the articles to support the authors and news sources. As a private American citizen, I'd like to report and share my transformative thoughts through commentary regarding small sections of these articles that are of public interest. Today, I read an article on foxbusiness.com written by Megan Henney titled, Layoffs Surged 136% in January to second highest level on record. According to the author, a new report published by Challenger, Gray, and Christmas found that companies planned 82,307 job cuts in January, a substantial 136% increase from the previous month. However, that is down about 20% from the same time 1 year ago. It marked the second highest layoff total for the month of January in data going back to 2009. Well, my friends, I am not surprised to hear about this. Reflect on how many companies I have reported about here on the channel that are laying off employees in the past few weeks. What in the world might we see if our economy takes a turn for the worse later this year? The author of this article indicated financial companies bore the brunt of the job losses in January, with the industry shedding 23,238 employees, which is the highest monthly layoff total for the financial sector since September 2018, when it announced 27,343 job cuts. The technology sector followed with 15,806 layoffs, the most since May 2023, and a stunning 254% increase from just 1 month prior. Think about how terrible this is for all of these people. They are losing their job in the dead of winter. Many just got done spending a tremendous amount of money during the holiday season. No doubt, some of these people still have debt on their credit cards. Now they are faced with unemployment and having to scramble to find new jobs during a time when we keep hearing about more layoffs. The article didn't discuss this, but I have to wonder, how many of these job cuts are permanent? How many of these companies plan to replace some of these humans with artificial intelligence at some point in the future? 2023 was the year of artificial intelligence. It drove some stocks to very high levels. From my perspective, artificial intelligence is going to be a disruptor in the labor market. It will likely have a big impact on jobs, just like robotics did with manufacturing. Fewer humans are needed on the assembly line, and once some companies cut human jobs, there will likely be no going back. Now, the author of this article referenced Andy Challenger as saying, the impact of rapidly advancing artificial intelligence adoption is beginning to be felt from a jobs perspective, particularly in media and tech, but truly across sectors. That said, companies are not outright blaming AI for many layoff decisions. Well, my friends, executives at companies are probably not going to show their cards, just like a poker player wouldn't do that at the table. I have to wonder, how many companies do have plans to integrate artificial intelligence to a greater extent at their respective companies to increase profits? Now, if you think these laid off people can just go work at the mall until they find another job in their field, think again. That may not be as easy as you think in some locations. The author of this article indicated 5,364 retail store positions were cut in January, a significant increase from the 110 layoffs announced in December. I agree that is a significant increase, but you have to consider these stores need fewer people now that the busy holiday shopping season is over. On the topic of layoffs, I read an article on foxbusiness.com written by Daniela Genovese titled, Deutsche Bank to lay off 3,500 employees. According to the author, Deutsche Bank is cutting these positions to shave off billions in operational costs by 2025. The German investment bank wants to cut costs by 2.5 billion euros, or about $2.7 billion. Apparently, The bank has made some progress on this goal, but it still wants to save 1.6 billion euros or $1.7 billion by various measures, including simplifying workflows and automation. Well, my friends, that sounds similar to what I was just talking about a moment ago. Why didn't they just come out and talk about artificial intelligence? I suppose they may have wanted to use a broader statement that was more ambiguous. Maybe they don't want to give their competitors any ideas about what they have up their sleeve. Regardless of what is going on, my heart goes out to these 3,500 people losing their job at Deutsche Bank. I hope they can all find new employment quickly so their families are not impacted. I also hope they have been keeping their skill sets up to date so they can be the best applicants when they are seeking new employment. I think it is important for people to not get too comfortable and let their skill set become antiquated. Lifetime learning is important, even though it may not always be fun. If you have the opportunity to learn new skills, acquire new certifications or licenses, why not do that? It may really help you in the event you ever find yourself unemployed in the future. Deutsche Bank wasn't alone in the news today when it came to layoffs. I read an article on yahoo.com put out by TechCrunch and written by Carly Page titled, "Okta Lays Off 400 Employees Almost Exactly a Year After Last Staff Cuts." According to the author, this is about 7% of its global workforce. Now get this, the chief executive, Todd McKinnon, sent an email to employees that said, if you work in the US, you will receive an email in the next 15 minutes notifying you if your role is impacted or not. He went on to say, for employees outside of the US who have been identified as impacted or at risk, the notification process may be different based on local laws and practices. Wow, imagine working for this company in the US and sitting at your desk when you get this email. Imagine the stress that you would likely feel during that 15-minute window of time, wondering if you are going to get another email telling you that you may lose your job. From my perspective, this is a very impersonal approach, but I am sure the company has its reasons for doing it this way. It's interesting that workers outside of the US may be treated differently. I wish the article went into more details about this. I'd like to know what type of laws in other countries possibly afford workers more compassion or rights during the layoff process. I really feel bad for the Okta employees who got an email letting them know that they lost their jobs. Imagine having to go home and break the news to your family by showing them a copy of the email that you received. But hey, look on the bright side. Our economy is booming, the stock market recovered from yesterday's temper tantrum after Jerome Powell spoke, and a soft landing is all but guaranteed. I hope you can sense the sarcasm here. In all seriousness, I hope these Okta employees can find new employment that they enjoy in short order during this very difficult time. There may be some people who may not be as impacted by layoffs as others because they are keeping their cost of living at a minimum by living in their vehicles. I read an article today on foxbusiness.com written by Hannah Grossman titled, "Rising Costs of Housing Pushing Millennials to Make Drastic Sacrifices by Living in Vans for Years." According to the author, the rising costs of living over the last few years have driven the younger generation to make drastic sacrifices in order to reset their financial stability or be able to own a home in the future. Younger people are opting to live in cost-effective vans and showcase their tiny living quarters on TikTok to the fascination of the internet. Well, my friends, I don't blame these people. The price of real estate has gone parabolic in some areas of the country, and the price of rent isn't too far behind. You have to scratch your head looking at a tiny studio apartment that is renting for $2,000 per month and ask yourself, why in the world would I want to throw away $24,000 per year on something this small with nothing to show for it at the end of the 12-month lease? I am sure this is why some people consider homeownership instead of renting, but they may be looking at how much the home is listed for compared to where it was a few years ago, and they may ask themselves, why would I pay double what these sellers paid for it a few years ago when they haven't done anything to it? The roof has gotten older, the HVAC system has gotten older, the carpet is more worn out, but they want double what they paid for it. I am sure some of these millennials living in vans are probably doing so because they want no part of this craziness right now. As I read more of this article, my suspicions were correct. The author referenced an Orlando-based realtor named Freddie Smith, who said people are living in vans because they're getting rid of that $2,000 rent burden and are able to use that money to save for a down payment. Well, my friends, imagine if you decked out your van so that it was a cozy place to live for, say, 2 years, and then you were able to save $48,000 that you would have thrown away on rent. You could use that money as a down payment to buy a home. Then you could rent out that van that you customized and have a second source of income for the foreseeable future from a tenant. This seems like a win-win to me. Now, the author did reference people who had been living in a van about some drawbacks, such as dealing with storms with lightning and wind, or having to hang up clothes to dry, or suffering from loneliness. I am sure a group of your friends are not going to want to come over and hang out in your van. While I respect these people who are making personal sacrifices to save money for long-term financial goals while living in a van, I can't help but think about the Chris Farley skit from Saturday Night Live, where he talked about living in a van down by the river. In that skit, Chris Farley played Matt Foley. This skit first appeared in 1993 on Saturday Night Live. What do you think about van life? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. One of the richest men in the world doesn't live in a van, but apparently he may live in a very modest home. I read an article today on yahoo.com put out by TCD and written by Stephen Proctor, titled, "Rare Photo Allegedly Shows Elon Musk's Kitchen and Living Room. Richest man in the world lives here." According to the author, Elon Musk's biographer, Walter Isaacson, released a photo allegedly showing Elon Musk's kitchen and part of his living room. He sold his 5 houses in 2020 for a Spartan 2-bedroom house in Boca Chica, Texas, which is close to SpaceX's launch site. Well, my friends, I checked out the picture, and it looks like a college apartment. There is a small kitchen table, a basic coffee table, and a pretty plain area rug. There are stainless steel appliances in the kitchen, but the cabinets look about as generic as you can get. It's a clean place, and I'm sure it gets the job done. I'm sure if he wasn't affiliated with Tesla, he might even be driving a 2004 Toyota Camry to match the frugal nature of his residence. My accountant has ownership in a fee-only financial advisor business, and he's had multiple conversations with a lot of really wealthy people about their mansions over the years. Many of these people have told him that they basically just use the kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, and living room. Sometimes they close off all of the other rooms and maybe go down into the finished basement a couple times a year if they have guests over. A lot of people throw quite a bit of money away on property taxes, insurance, utilities, and maintenance for a big home, even if they have it paid off. Some people don't want the headache of managing a big estate. It can be a lot of work unless you have a house manager or hire a company that offers those services. With as busy as Elon Musk is with all of his business endeavors, he may not want to waste time dealing with big estates. But what do I know? I'm just some guy on YouTube, and I can't begin to understand the inner workings of Elon Musk's mind. I've included a link to the article that shows a picture of Elon Musk's residence in the description below, in case you want to check it out. Please keep in mind that everything in this video is for entertainment purposes only, and nothing in this video is financial advice or advice of any kind. If you need advice, seek advice from a qualified professional in good standing who puts your interests first and foremost. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Please also consider sharing this video with your friends. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. Check out some of the great books that I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.